So we can be controlled. They want to control us. They want to herd us up like cattle, and the FEMA camps are real. It's all part of Agenda 21.
Oh, yeah. Granted, the smart grid can probably be a topic all in itself, but
right.
I don't know how many people look into that. Cause the smart grid, they're actually trying to give us smart, not only the smart meters, but smart appliances, and there's the smart lights, the stoplights and everything in the town. And it's being suggested that they can act that the frequency that these things are working off of are the same frequency that our brains work off of. So
right.
They're actually attempting to not only read our thoughts, but control our thoughts, which I think is a little scary.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Guest 3 says that they believe they're doing everything they can to try to change our DNA.
I believe that is the plan. That is a grand overall scheme and plan, and it goes back to Satan, back to in 2011, a lot of people woke up. They seen earthquakes in diverse places. They seen birds falling out of the sky 12 minutes before midnight, bringing in 2011. Millions of fish washing ashore, and then we had what really woke a lot of people up was the 9.0 earthquake in Japan, the Fukushima disaster, and the tsunami. But that woke a lot of people up. But what Satan has been doing since, and a lot of people were calling themselves coming out as watchmen on the wall, but they were calling themselves watchers. And I'm thinking, boy, you need to get back into, don't call yourself a watcher. The watchers are the ones that descended from Mount Hermon and found women attractive and mated and had, and the offspring were the giants, the Nephilim. And that's how Satan tried to tamper with the bloodline as his way of trying to be more powerful than God, which he never will be, by contaminating the DNA. And there were giants in the land in those days, the time of the flood, and after. So after the flood, after God entered the world with the flood, a lot of people get, and it just shows their lack of understanding or their lack of time in the Scripture. How could God wipe out women and children? And I thought he was a loving God. He was trying to stop this contamination of these the bloodlines of these giants, these Nephilim, offspring of the fallen angels. Because they were wreaking havoc on the earth. I mean, they were into all sorts of terrible things. But they're here again, and we'll talk about that on another program. But what I see now is Satan's attempt again now to tamper with the DNA and the bloodline once again.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that, but I also want people to look into, if they haven't already done so, I think the news broke like a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, that they're actually, Monsanto being one of the companies, there's roughly 3 companies that are actually trying to take ownership of individual genes that make up our DNA. So in the future, if any of us were to have a child, we'd actually receive a fine because now we're duplicating their property, even though it's our genes, our blood. But they're trying to take claim to it.
That's what the overall plan, Agenda 21 goes so deep, we'd have to go right back to the very beginning. But that's what the end game, I guess you could say, and it's all Satan is behind every aspect of this, especially with the technology that we see booming today, to have a new world order with a new race of people that will fit the agenda. A lot of us today, you don't fit their needs, and neither do I, and I'm sure none of the guests in the room today are going to willingly follow along and obey the New World Order and their commands. And, we are dispensable. Let's get rid of them, and let's create a new breed, a new race of people. That's That's the real agenda, and that's Satan's plan to try to overthrow the throne of God, which will never happen.
That we can see going on today in what's called transhumanism. I mean, there's individuals that are actually implanting themselves with chips where their mind can control the computer, the telephone, and everything else. or they walk into their building and all the doors open up for them automatically.
Right, definitely. We're seeing all of that, and we're seeing the RFID, microchip. We're seeing so many things coming in into play here, and it's all biblical. We're living in the end of the end days, and
right.
But Agenda 21 is not that old. It goes back to, I believe, 1979, and it's the sick and twisted brain thought and idea of two people, and one is Gro Brundtland, who is a socialist, and Maurice Strong. For our viewers, I don't have a way of putting the video up, but research especially Maurice Strong. 1979, he was the UN he ran the UN environmental program, and this guy is a real character. But from their idea that mankind is ruining the planet, and we've got climate change. That's where climate change and global warming came from, their idea, and then it escalated from there. But,
right. Well, my take on global warming is first. What was that, Dr. Dave?
Yeah, there's a lot of evil behind this agenda.
Oh, yeah. My take on global warming is, one, it's false. I mean, if you look at the carbon footprint going before we had automobiles to now, we've only added all this time roughly, 0.03% additional carbon. The real problem is everybody chopping down the rainforest, because the rainforest is literally the lungs of the planet. So obviously you do that. But another problem is the chemtrails, because there's all the aluminum and barium and whatnot in the chemtrails, which is not allowing the carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide to escape the atmosphere and to be taken in by the plant life to rebirth that oxygen.
That's right.
So if you ask me, it's the elite that are causing the so-called global warming. As a natural phenomenon, it does not exist.
Right, exactly. And that's the whole plan. Again, Agenda 21, there's too many people, and they want to reduce the population. Now they're putting lithium in the chemtrails. So what's raining down on you, not only heavy metals and toxins that will destroy your body, your respiratory system, give you cancer. Now they're going to sedate you as well, I guess, and put a mind-altering drug like lithium, which is prescribed for psychiatric patients. Now you're going to breathe that in as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it's all sick. I mean, I live in a rural area, which everybody says is better because it has the more freer air or whatever. But even over my area, it's not as bad as where I used to live, because I used to live in a suburb. But every now and then you can still see the chemtrails going up overhead. Not as bad, but it's still there.
Right. Well, the whole they're covering up Agenda 21, just so our viewers, if they're not familiar with Agenda 21. The name actually does exist. You can do your own research. But they're using the name Sustainable Development. And like I said, two people are responsible for the idea of that happening. And what they claim sustainable development is global warming to protect the planet from climate change, protect the planet from being destroyed by you and I and everyone in this room, by mankind. And they say the reason that the planet is being destroyed and the climate is changing is because of poverty. It's the major cause and effect of global and environmental problems. So what they want to do is take the wealth and redistribute it to the less prosperous nations, not to the poor and the hungry. And this is where my passion is with my ministry, those that are homeless and hungry, living on the street, not to help them, but to spread the wealth to other countries. That's why we see so much money going over to aid to other countries. They just get. I could talk for over 2 hours on that. That's just what the sick way of thinking is.
No, you and me both. I feel the same way, Pastor Dave. In my area too, I live in the poorest city of the poorest county in the country, based on 2010 census. And there's a lot of people walking around here that are going hungry, that just don't have enough money coming in, even with the government help, to their families.
The elite, the ones behind all of this Agenda 21, the New World Order, the offshore bankers, the super rich, the Rothschilds and the Bilderberg, they don't care about the homeless in America or the poor, the hungry, the people that are unemployed. They kind of want to round them up and do away with them. Eventually, I believe, would be the plan. And to show just how 2007, a woman by the name of Betty Perry from Utah, she was handcuffed and arrested and put in jail because her front lawn, the grass was dying in her front lawn. This would show you how where they're thinking with this Agenda 21. And in 2011, in my home state of Michigan, not far from where I live, a young lady by the name of Julie Bass was handcuffed. There was a mark on her face from being cuffed and put in jail because she planted a garden in her front yard. I mean, and it gets really deep.
Yeah. They're doing land grabs all over the place. I mean, there's a lot of farmers that are now losing their property to Monsanto. There's people that just seem to have a lot of property that's being, grabbed up by the government.
Right.
There's all the pig farmers that, just for sole purposes of the government's evil agenda, was literally certain pigs. I forget what kind of pigs they were all killed.
Right.
Because they're the wrong color pig. It's like, really? What? The wrong color pig? Pig meat is pig meat is pig meat. I mean,
I know what you're saying. This gets so deep, and I'm looking at the news today, and we're watching. The jury is out now in the Zimmerman trial, and if you go to your social media websites, and I'm not going to claim to know who is right and who is wrong. I believe it's wrong for us to take a life. We've got to look at self-defense, and I'm not saying who is right or who is wrong in this case, but I see the Agenda 21 plan going into effect. They want martial law in this country. They want civil unrest. They want an uprising, and the people are falling for it, and a lot of them are brothers and sisters of color, and they are falling because if you look at Facebook, they're putting up hoodies as their picture on their Facebook profile. And if Zimmerman is found not guilty, which he may be not guilty, I don't know. If he walks, the elite win because the people are so dumbed down that they are going to go out and they are going to riot in the street, and that's just what the powers that be want. And I just want everyone to love one another, and let's not fall into the trap of the enemy, into the deception.